Greetings, Autobots, and welcome back. For the first of maybe a new series on the channel, I'm going to be stepping out of my comfort zone and looking at a tabletop game. And I figured, what would be a great place to start? Well, I've been playing a lot of this recently. The SUPERHOT The Card Game, or SUPERHOT The Card Game, developed by SUPERHOT team, designed by Manuel Correa, I think it is, Correa? I'm not sure, and published by Board and Dice. But this is a single player card game that can actually be played by, I think, yeah, between 1 to 3 people, and is based off of the hit video game of the same name, SUPERHOT. It says here, part strategy, part shooter, and undeniably stylish. SUPERHOT is the best-selling independent first-person shooter in which time moves only when you move. After its Steam, Xbox One, VR releases, not to forget the PlayStation release, because it actually did see PlayStation and Nintendo Switch release, but this came out in 2018, so the Switch port didn't come out yet. SUPERHOT is taking its unique game mechanics to the world of tabletop games. Its micro deck building mechanics will immerse you in the ever-changing, visceral and iconic fight sequences of SUPERHOT. Every turn and every move is an intense snapshot of lethal combat frozen in motion. Your decisions and your execution dictate the pace of the game. Daredevil maneuvers and risk-taking can reward you greatly, or exact hard punishment. Every card you play advances the timeline. You shoot a guy's head off. Enemies pour into the room. A shower of bullets fill the air. The clock's ticking. So SUPERHOT is a solo card game that can be played with multiple players, and I've taken the liberty of getting the game board all set up, but I will explain the rules as we go along in case you guys want to pick this game up and try it for yourself. So first what you want to do is take these cards with question marks on their back and just organize them into a goals deck. These are your missions, and the goal of the game is to complete 3 goals of increasing difficulty, and once you've completed all 3 goals, you win the game. You have bullet cards. Bullet cards are going to be your arch nemesis. They are useless cards, and they get thrown into the mix when enemies on the line, which is these sections here, these enemies will fire them. They first go into the obstacles discard when an enemy on the line fires them, but that eventually makes its way into the obstacles deck, then the line, and if you're not careful, into your hand. Now you don't want to get 4 cards in your hand or 4 bullet cards, because if you get 4 bullet cards, that's it. You can't do anything. They're useless cards and they clog up your hand. You have the obstacles deck, which I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle here. I'm not exactly the best at shuffling cards, so I just want to keep them pristine, but I also can actually make for some good noises when I think about it. So we're just gonna absolutely fail to shuffle them, and we're just gonna, what you do is then you put the deck, actually no, first you draw 6 cards from the obstacles deck, so that's 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you put the rest of the deck face up in the labeled obstacles deck. So we use them to populate this square space here called the line, which is basically your battleground where you plan your attack and make your move. So we have here our player deck. This is our starting hand of 8 cards, all marked with P1. So what we're going to do here is just, again, shuffle them. We'll just, I mean, there's only really 8, so you can't really shuffle them all that well. And then just put them face down on the player deck. Now, we have this little phase card, which I will refer to over the course of the video. I'll just put that next to the little edge of the board. What else do we have? We've got these 3 tokens here. These are tracker tokens, as I call them, like bullet trackers, where you put them on the goal cards to track your objectives if there's a goal that takes multiple items to be completed. So we'll just put these off to the side, and it's level 1, so we're going to draw 1 goal card. This says knock out 6 obstacles. Now that's pretty easy, but say for talk's sake you didn't want to do a goal, you're like, I don't know, this one's just kind of boring, or I really don't want to do that right now because I don't have the best lineup. You can choose to veto that goal, in which you put it here and then just draw a new card, but eventually you will have to complete that. So after you complete the previous level, that becomes the secondary goal. But for the sake of the game, we're going to keep it like this. Okay, so what do we want to do now? We draw 4 cards from the top to make our player deck. And let's see what we've got. We have, oh, I should probably explain what these values mean. When you have a card in your hand, you'll refer to the top number. This is essentially your currency and what you can do in a turn. This dictates what you can and can't do. And the number of cards you use in a turn affects what happens on the line. So say for talk's sake, if I decided to spend all of these cards to get this katana guy, which I could either destroy it, which adds it to my hand, or knock it out. So if you don't want a card in your hand, but you don't want it to trigger its negative effects, which are these little doodads at the bottom, then you can either flip it over to knock it out, or bring it to your new cards area and add it to your hand. So we have 4 cards here, and the first phase in a turn is wait or move. Now, waiting is basically, imagine there's only these cards, which don't really have any effects. They're just kind of sitting on the line. You can stall for time. You can discard as many cards as you like into the obstacles discard and draw new ones from your player deck. But we have, how do we say, actionable cause here. So what we're going to do is we're going to first focus on building up our hand with stronger cards just to give us more welly. So what we're going to do is add this guy to our hand. So just bring it down to remind yourself what card you're interacting with. And that takes 4 cards, or 4 points. Now, I should explain, this threw me for a loop the first time I played. This number is essentially what they're worth. This is the value. This is the purchase, the destroyer knockout cost. So refer to this when you want to interact with the card. So that takes 4, either 4 fighting, which is the hexagon, or 4 dodge, or a mix of the two. We have 3 fighting and 1 dodge, so we can use that. We can use all 4 of these cards. We just put them into the used cards area and add this to our hand. Now we've completed phase 2, which is use cards. Now phase 3, refill your hand. We spent all of our cards, so we need to draw 4 ones, but we added this new one to our hand, so we only need to draw 3 cards. So we'll just draw that from our player deck. And then add that to our hand. So now we have a stronger card. So in total we have 3 dodge and 3 fighting and 2 dodge, so we have 5 points. So we could use that to knock out a shotgun guy if we wanted to. Now, let's see, what do we next? Maneuvers. Now, this is where your spending dictates the pace of the game, like mentioned on the back of the box. We'll just put these new cards in our hand. Phase 4, maneuvers. Now, the way the maneuvers phase works is depending on the number of cards you used in a turn, that number of cards gets removed from the line. Essentially, it's like you dodging. Imagine you're ducking and weaving and passing, you're going, shooting them, ducking and weaving in and out, avoiding obstacles. That's you maneuvering past these obstacles. And it goes from right to left, depending on the number of cards you used. So as you can see, we used 4 cards that turn. So what we're going to do is just remove 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, you have to treat these, if a slot is empty, but it still classifies as the amount of cards you've used in a turn, you treat it as if there was a card there, just don't do anything. That's just the way it works. And then you take these ones, add it to your player discard, and then your used cards that you used the previous turn, or this turn, go to the obstacles discard. Phase 5, phase 5 is check the goals. So we didn't destroy, we destroyed an obstacle, but we didn't knock it out, so we don't advance any of the goals at all. Now phase 7, refill the line. So just drag all these cards from left to right essentially treating them like they're moving up in the line, and replace them with a new set of enemies and items to face. Now, what have we got? We have a katana and a guy with a gun, or a dude with a katana and a dude with a gun. Let me think, because either way, we could do the same thing again and use 4 cards. See, this is where the tactical mindset comes in, because you sort of have to micromanage and plan ahead. We do have 4 good cards that we could use, but I want to knock out an obstacle, so let me see. That's 3, need 4 now. I'm not sure if, I'll have to refer to the rules. Now, I think the way it works is if you have a number that's greater than the value at the bottom of the card by 1 point, then you can do it. But if it's 2 points over, then you can't do it. So we could use all 4 cards to knock this fella out. In fact, I'll do it for the sake of progressing the obstacles, just to show you how the bullet tracker tokens work. So we're going to move this turn. You will be moving the majority of turns. When there's enemies on the line, you'll be moving. But if there's cards that you want, but not many enemies, you can think to yourself, okay, I can chance it, I can grab these, and then maybe make a good move later on in the game. Because you have to play the long game. So we're going to use all 4 cards here and knock out the dude with a katana. So we used our cards, now we refill our hand. We draw a card here. Now we don't have any more cards in our player deck, not to fear, because the cards in your player discard end up becoming your new hand or player deck. So these 4 cards are now my hand. So we have here pliers, so we can heal the bullet from our hand or draw a card. This card is worth the number of cards in the player discard. We have a dude with a shotgun and a standard punch, or unarmed dude. So this is now part of our hand. Now, phase 4 maneuvers, we used 4 cards that turn, so we remove 1, 2, 3, 4 cards, which gets rid of this guy without having to do anything pretty much. Because remember, face up obstacles removed from the line go to player discard, but face down goes to obstacle discard. Same goes for cards that you've used. So same goes for this katana guy. We just put him here, and then our obstacle discard goes here. Now, obstacle abilities, we can actually trigger this round, because this card here is an ability where once its ability is activated, you have to draw an extra card. Now, we would have been snookered if we didn't have any cards in our discard, but we can just do the same trick again, shuffle them up. There's only 4, but you know, that's what you do. And then draw an extra card into our hand. So we also need to check our goals. So we knocked out an obstacle. So we put that on a number 1 to mark our progress. And then, same as before, we refill the line. We've got some interesting moves that we can make here. We've got some very... well, that's a lot of bad guys. Let me think. How many cards do we have in our player deck? Yeah, we have 3, so I'm going to be a daredevil. I'm going to play pliers, which will allow us to draw a card or heal a bullet from our hand. And we're going to play double trouble, which allows us to use that card twice. So we treat these as we use 2 cards. So don't get that confused if you're doing the regular, when you get to the maneuvers phase. So now that gives us 2 extra cards to play with. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's definitely a bit of a tricky spot we're in. But the more cards we use, the more of these mooks we can deal with. So we're going to just go ham and take out as many as we can. These 2 cards here don't really matter this turn because these are the only ones that really do anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to use 4 makes 5, that's 6. So this makes 6 total. What we're going to do is add the shotgun guy to our hand. So that makes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. We use that turn. So with a well-placed or with a well-used hand, we managed to successfully eliminate all these enemies or deal with them before they even remotely become a problem. So that's how tactical thinking can really win you the game here. So we did the use cards phase. Okay, we refill our hand. We have 3 cards, and then we draw, and that gives us 4 cards. Now there is no hand limit, keep that in mind, but whenever it says refill your hand, you refill back to 4 if you don't already have 4 cards. There is a little instruction sheet, but I have memorized the rules enough that I don't think I need the sheet anymore unless I decide to do the multiplayer. So now, maneuvers phase. How many cards did we use? We used 5 cards that turn. And doing so allows us to take this, and this. Pop it into our player discard. And we still have our regular cards. So check the goals. We didn't knock out any obstacles that turn, so that remains ticked at 1. Obstacle abilities, discard safe space and pliers doesn't have any abilities to trigger, so we can just move that up and down and all around. I find that in some situations, if not most, you're better off interacting with obstacles furthest away from the line if you're going to use more cards, because then more gets added to your player discard and that keeps you moving, but it also makes sure that you're not too overwhelmed. So we have the same decision to wait or move. Let's see, we can use how about a glass, which is worth the amount of cards, or the number of cards in our player discard. We have exactly 4. So if we want, we could use that. In fact, let's go ahead and use it. We'll add this to our hand, which will allow us to draw an extra card. Or actually, no, it allows us to draw 2 cards when played. This is the obstacle ability on the line, but we pay 3 dodge. So this card we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just use this 1 card here. I also forgot to add these to the obstacles discard the previous turn. Just tidy that up, nice and clean. We used How About a Glass, that's 1 card used so far. We can add that to our hand, but what else can we do this turn? Because remember, time only moves when you do, so we can look at what we have. We have a guy with a gun, he shoots a bullet, and then we have a dude with a baseball bat who shoots a bullet for every enemy card in my hand. I've got 1 enemy card, so he'll shoot a bullet for 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lessen, because I'm going to take hits here. So what I'm going to try doing is I'm going to use plan. So cards in the discard, when you can't draw from your player deck, your discard becomes your deck. I'm going to play that. Draw 2 cards. What we're going to do is spend 2 to knock out this guy with a gun. So we'll put that in our used cards pile. And we're going to spend, let me see, that's 4. So we could use flip the table and shotgun to add to our hand. I mean, that is a good one to have. So you know what? We'll do it. We'll use flip the table and shotgun. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards used that turn. So refill your hand. I think I am content with my moves, so we can move to refill your hand. So just draw 2 cards from our admittedly quite piddly player deck. And now we do maneuvers. So we use 5 cards. So we remove these face-up ones and they go into the player discard, but face-down ones go to the obstacles discard, as well as your used cards. I just like to give the cards a little tap to make sure they're all nice and neatly tidied. Now check the goals. We knocked out an obstacle that turn, so we'll just move that there and refill the line as usual. Same goes. I'll do another turn to show you guys how the bullets work, and I think I'll call it a day with this and I'll just play some more in my free time. I really want to do this video just to show you this game. I think it's terrific, and I have been really enjoying strategizing, planning all my different attacks. So, what do we have? What can we do? We can use 2 shotgun guys to knock out a bullet. But for the sake of showing you guys, I'm going to knock out just 2 cards here. I'm going to knock out the guy with the gun and the dude with the baseball bat. So that's 2 cards used. And that eliminates these 2 while also making sure, because yeah, I would like them in my hand, but just right now I don't. But say for talk's sake, an enemy shot during the obstacles phase. Now what you would do is take a bullet card from the deck and then add it to the obstacles deck, and what would happen is when this gets depleted, this would become your new obstacles deck. So you would just, you know, shuffle all the cards, and then eventually these would make their way into the line. And if you don't deal with them now by paying 2 dodge to destroy them and knock them back here, they'll end up in your hand. So thankfully we managed to dodge that turn with some quick strategic thinking. That's what it's all about, folks. You gotta put on your thinking cap and get some strategery happening. Strategy, man, it's strategy. So we use 2 cards that turn. So refill your hand. We don't have any cards in our player deck, so just shuffle our discard, and that becomes our new hand. Draw 2 cards to refill it, back to 4. Now, let's see. Maneuvers. So we use 2 cards that turn. So these go here into the player discard, and these go into the obstacles discard. So in a way, it's cyclical. You defeat an enemy or you maneuver past them, but eventually they'll come back to haunt you. So maneuvers, we've done that. Check the goals. We knocked out 2 obstacles that turn, so we take it from 3 to 4. And we refill the line once more. So what you do now whenever you don't have enough cards to refill the line is you take your obstacles discard and then just go crazy and shuffle them in. Just shuffle them about, and this will essentially create a new deck of obstacles. It's almost like you're making a new level by hand. See, I'm not the best at shuffling, but it is what it is. So we just put the obstacles deck face up and then use those cards to refill the line once more. And I think that about wraps it up for my tutorial on how to play SUPERHOT the card game. I hope I was able to explain the basics decently enough. I also forgot to put these in the obstacles discard last turn, so we're just gonna be sneaky and stuff them in there. You saw nothing. Don't bring it up in the comments. But that essentially covers my basic tutorial on how to play SUPERHOT the card game. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought of this below, if I should do more tabletop reviews or just videos of me playing these kinds of games. I would love to do a full playthrough of this game at some point where I complete 3 levels from beginning to end in one video. But If you guys are interested, please let me know in the comments below and tell me what you thought of the game. I think that about does it. So, with all that being said, this is Aurabot ASMR, signing off for the day. Autobots, transform and roll out to bed. Super hot. 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 Till all.